All right, welcome to another great episode of Emprise Consulting Corner. Got another treat for you today. We got Rob Fite, Vice President of Sales at Telrock Systems. How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing great, Matt.
Oh, so how's it been going with everything with you during the pandemic? A quick kind of update.
That's everybody asks that all the time. It's like how you start,
Right.
when you say hello, right?
Like, how's the
And
weather? Exactly.
we've been doing very well. Knock on wood, right? From the very beginning, back in March, we really haven't missed a beat. We've been very fortunate.
Great, great. Can you give just me a little background if people don't know you? I know you've been in the industry 30 plus years, so you know a lot of people. Maybe they haven't heard of Telrock Systems, what you guys do and what you're doing there.
Sure. Yeah. So again, Rob Fite, Telrock Systems. I'm head of business development for North America for Telrock. If you don't know who Telrock is, we are probably the first ones in the industry to build out a collections and recovery system, the combined system that was built from scratch, from the ground up, to handle collections and recovery, but built for the cloud. There's a lot of systems that moved to the cloud, but very few built brand new on modern technology, modern designs, to be held in the cloud. So that's the nuance, and yet designed, for enterprise use. That your mid to larger clients that need 100 plus seats and all the bells and whistles that would go with that.
Cool. No, that's good background. I do want to wait a second here. I do want to jump into a article that you guys wrote in a survey that's going to be published in a white paper. That's great, but I'm curious of what, for Telrock and your platform, what sets you apart from, any other system, without naming any names. Like, is there any one thing that stands out?
No, I mean, this sounds probably a little cheeky, but it's not that it's one, because there's a lot of systems in the market do a lot of good things, but it's the aggregate, right? It's modern design, modern technology, built for the cloud, all the latest bells and whistles, highly integrated, covers both collections and recovery, you know. Uh, when you start adding up all the features, functions, and the capabilities, it's the aggregate that makes the difference. And in today's market, if you're trying to move to that next level of capabilities, you've got to have that aggregate whole of all these features, functions. Just getting one or two is not going to be enough to move the needle and to help customers, i.e. collection operations, move to that next level of collection performance that they want.
Yeah, no, it's a good segue in. So, there's this document on your website that we can link to after this, 9 critical capabilities that collection software need in 2021. That was a pretty great read. And you also have a survey coming out this Thursday, a front headline on Inside Arm, where you guys surveyed hundreds of different size agencies. And we're going to talk about probably 3 very interesting numbers based on the questions there, and that'll be available probably, it sounds like, on the homepage Thursday, Inside Arm, and today's Tuesday when we're recording this, so I'll make sure to get it up on Thursday so we can be in line with those publications. So what's the first one? I see, what was your current collection, when was your current collection system implemented? I think that one was the most interesting to me, kind of from a high level, and just, the time frame that all these agencies have been established. Those numbers kind of showed themselves. You want to maybe talk through those numbers and kind of what you're taking from that?
Yeah, if you just kind of summarize that up, when I was first creating the 9 capabilities, I said, we better survey the market first to validate, what I believe are key capabilities that, collection operations have to have. So first and foremost, on the survey, the big one that was the eye opener, as you suggested, Matt, is that 50% of the responders said that their collection system was 10 plus years old or older. And if you think about that in terms of, iPhone age, it's forever, right? I mean,
Right.
and it's not that they're bad systems. It's just that the way technology is moving so fast and the demands on technology are so great that chances are you've been on that system and you haven't upgraded it, you haven't enhanced it to the degree to keep it as relevant or as current as it could be. And even then, you're still based on older designs and older technologies. So it has, well, things that weren't necessarily limitations, but now are starting to become restraints just by age alone, right?
Yeah, and I think that's interesting because that next number where it says 22% have systems that are 1 to 3 years old, but as I'm thinking while you're talking, they might have implemented a new system to them, but the system could still be on 15-year-old technology that hasn't been, maybe taken care of. I know a lot of clients that we work with, they do the updates, we help them with the upgrades, but there are some that they say, I have this 20-year-old system X and it's so customized that they won't the software provider won't update it for us because it's going to break everything.
Well, it's funny when you talk about that, Matt. You're absolutely right, and that they've kicked the can so far down the street that, and they've done so much customization now. It's son of Frankenstein. And then, for instance, you've got the new CFPB rulings coming out where you've got to have that whole consent and preference management and the whole monitoring and tracking of the communication touch points. Even if your vendor has that new feature, you may not even be able to upgrade to it because you're so far behind, or that your system has been so customized that it's just not going to accept it. And so we see that as a big challenge out there. In fact, one of the survey responses was, how reliant are you on your vendor to kind of upgrade to meet the new CFP rulings? And it's not really a surprise, but 91% said that they were moderately to highly reliant on the vendor, which stands to reason. The problem is that by the time they get the capabilities out to the client, they've got to do the integration, testing, configuration, even if it's just an upgrade. And so there's a lot of risk and a lot of factors involved and not a whole lot of time. So that was the backdrop on that, is that if you're waiting, hopefully it comes soon enough and that you'll be able to get it in play in time.
Yeah, so kind of going into that CFPB part with the new rulings, how's Telrock set up right now? Are you guys making tweaks to your platform to be able to comply, or are you already there? What's that look like for people?
Well, first and foremost, this isn't that wasn't a paid question, so it's no, because
correct. That was not. I did not want this to be a sales pitch, so that was me.
No, first of all, because Optimus, our collection system, is new. We kind of we're forward thinking about a lot of these capabilities, and so we've already had that ability to capture consent, make it easy to do it, both at the desktop and through automated fashion, keep up with contact points, and then keep up with the ability that allow them to set strategies and rules and parameters around that and do it in real time. So the capability there is there for us, but we've been very fortunate because we started out with underlying technology that gave us that flexibility.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear, because I know we're working with clients that asking for our advice, suggestions, or they already have a plan on how to modify their platform, or they need a plan. So it's kind of all over the place, like the surveys, showing where we're somewhat confident, but I'm hoping all the software providers are speaking with their clients on this, so they're comfortable and they can maybe put them a little bit at ease until November 30th comes. So everyone's ready to go.
Matt, it was interesting. There was one survey response that also caught my eye a little bit, was that 73% of the responders said that they didn't have, but they wish they had, what is called omni-channel collections management, that centralized control over all the different touch points so that you can orchestrate them, control them, manage them, and dictate, the initial channel, the secondary channel, and then all the rules and parameters that you want around that. Most systems out there today is you start out with a dialer, and that gets bolted on. then you went out and got texting, or you got email, then you went out and got texting. These are all bolt-ons, and they all work in silos, and they all have their own little maybe rules engine that goes with it. So the idea of controlling and managing that becomes very challenging unless you've got it all centralized and all highly integrated. So that's going to be a problem for organizations going forward.
Yeah, I know omnichannel, at least I feel like, I don't know if it's been a year, but maybe because 2020 is, I've just spent my whole day in my home office, but maybe it's been 2 years where the omnichannel term has, come up in at least the collection space. And I'm pretty sure everybody's aware of it and thinking about it, but, thinking and actually acting on it is a little bit different, there. What do you see, if you have your crystal ball, or what do you see right now? Or is it agencies are looking for platforms like Telerock or whoever else that is a one-stop shop kind of for all their omni-channel needs, or still using, multiple companies to get them?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think there's a play for either one, depending on your size and if you're not wedded to a particular communication channel technology. Yeah, you could go with something like that. But the idea, regardless, is that you've got to have them highly embedded, highly integrated, and sharing information. And then that has to be that control and that orchestration that is kind of frictionless, if you will. And that's really the key. It doesn't matter. The idea is like for omni-channel collections means you might start off with the letter. They go to the portal. They pay on the portal. It automatically lets them know. They pull the letter off of the campaign that's going out, and this all happens seamlessly in real time. That's to me is what omni-channel collections is that complete orchestration and management over all the touch points.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. As I'm looking through your survey here, there's a couple other interesting ones. Is there any that you wanted to specifically, bring up, another one or two here?
I think a key one also is, you hear everybody talk about the Internet of Things out there. Well, the buzz right now, and you see it on the payment processing side, is the real-time processing, right? And so taking that one step further, I think, historically collection systems had a huge batch element to them. Yeah, we're going to run that at the end of the night, batch job, and you'll get the report maybe tomorrow afternoon. And, all these things happen within 24-hour cycles, and today's world is all, is all about instant. I mean, I don't know about you, but I hate to even wait in a drive-through line. I mean, I want immediate gratification. So the idea is that the same holds true in collections. Everything needs to be real time. So real time processing, real time updating, and not just to one or two pieces, but across the entire system. Everything needs to work cohesively in this real time fashion. Sharing of information, moving of processes and events, pulling it out of the dialer, putting it in the text, sending it out the door, notifying the agent. All these things today, it's critical, especially in the world of compliance, that things operate in more of a real time fashion.
Yeah, I don't know if it's, I know banking and financial services has always been, even healthcare, I guess, has always been slow to adopt. So I don't know if, real time, we've been, Emprise has been building these real time integrations custom for clients forever. But I think I don't know if they just accept it that we're just going to do batch processing because that's what everyone else does, opposed to taking that next step, or maybe they don't have the capabilities or the skill set to even build those real-time processes. But I mean, it's important now. I mean, you think about everything else that you do, when you log in, even just to your banking or just anything really that you do, from kind of trying to think of a good example kind of right off the top of my head here, but just you log into your cell phone, your portal, and you can just see that instantly. Anything that you click on, get a notification, run a process, hits your bank account. Like you get a notification on your phone that $10 was taken out. Like it's pretty cool. And like you said, that's what we expect. You click on Netflix and it better play the show within 1 second or I'm going to be irritated.
That's right. Don't get that little, waiting signal on there. You'll go crazy. So, and that's the world we operate in. So, and if you want, a debtor to pay you, there's
Right.
certain expectations on both sides, and the experience has to be there. And that means the timely information back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah. So why not, look at what you do maybe in your personal life if you can't figure it out for the business. Like, oh yeah, why can't I do this for our system? Well, you can. You just gotta, talk to the right people
That's it.
and stop wishing. What did you happen to find numbers on, what percent of the companies um, are like most of their processes are real time? I know that you can say I do have real time, but that could be one process.
Yeah, the percent that had, real-time processing of some level was more like 70%. But when you peeled it back, where did you really have real-time processing across your collections platform? It was something more like 20-25%. I will say this, depending on who answered, this will probably come back to haunt me, but certain C-level responders had one view of their own capabilities. And then if you saw where somebody else responded that was down in the weeds and had to deal with it every day, they were a little bit more blunt about their system capabilities. And so it was, there's a lot of soft edges at the top. Oh yeah, we could do that. We just put 50 more people on it. We can do that. So it's just an interesting side note there. So yeah, at the end of the day, people have it, but to the degree they have it, I think is where the problem lies when it comes to real-time processing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Any other items on the survey? I know there's some other interesting pieces, and want to definitely urge people to, once it's posted on Thursday, to go check it out, because it is, it's not you making a guess of, hey, 42% of these people. It's, real live agencies, owners, managers, whoever was actually polled responding. Is there anything on this you wanted to cover?
I think the last one is really because it's always top of mind right now. The whole digital channel. When we were checking out, what percentage had email capabilities, right? For instance, and the responder says 61% of them had email, which that makes sense to me. I thought it might have been a little higher, but 61% said, yep, have email, use email. What was interesting was 48% of the responders said that they had email and texting ability, right? So, wow, almost 50% said that they had that ability. Now, to the degree they had it, how integrated, how embedded, how controlled, another story. But the idea is that I was glad to see that we had that. And with with customer preferences quickly changing, it's going to need to be a lot higher than that if we as an industry are really going to serve, the consumers properly. So,
I'd feel like you'd have to. Those 48% are probably the main agencies that are growing. I can't imagine that you're signing new clients as an agency and you're even for that first number, the 61% of email, if you're those, the 39%, I can't imagine that they're growing at all if you don't even have email communication capabilities.
I mean, take it one step further. In order to do that and have that unique consent, and then you have to capture it, then you got to manage it, and then it goes back into our other stuff about the whole consent management and preference management, and then complying with the CFP rules around contact. So it becomes a very, very difficult thing. And if you step back and say all the things I'm going to need to do and the burden on my system, and it's going to have to step up. So to me, that's the big thing. And I think we were talking about it earlier, Matt, is that where this all goes to me, when you boil it down, is that you're going to have this divergence around the haves and the have-nots. You're going to have collection agencies that either have the newer technology, newer platform, or they've been extremely diligent about bringing all these capabilities together in a cohesive fashion. And then you're going to have the have-nots that have kicked the can down the street, are in a tough situation right now. The market's in a tough situation, which is compounding it. And so you're definitely going to have the haves are going to be in pretty good shape going forward. And I think delinquencies are going to rise. After all the prohibition goes away, there's going to be a certain amount of that coming back. So I just think those, those that are ready and have the technology are going to be in good shape, and those that don't are going to have to really buckle down, or there's, God forbid, there's going to be, a bad situation for them.
Right. Might be looking for an exit strategy. So the survey's great. There's one other point that I wanted to ask about, looking back at that white paper, that 9 critical capabilities, just because a lot of stuff that we preach at Emprise and have talked about for a while is, and I'm kind of putting you on the spot. I don't know if you remember, I don't know when you wrote it, but that number 7, the easy DIY collection system configuration and administration. I think that's so important, because we're gonna probably record another one of these with Mark, our CEO, about why are collection platforms so hard and difficult to work with. Like, it shouldn't be difficult. It should be used at, the BA operations level. You do have to have some no experience, but you don't need to be a programmer. You want to have IT working on IT related tasks, not adding status codes or not changing workflows because they don't know the business side of it. So, that's something that we keep preaching and keep talking about. And when we're talking with our clients about, different solutions that we're offering them, you have anything kind of outside of what I just said on that?
I mean, I think it goes back to, and you saw this during the initial stages of the pandemic. It just brought out, in full color, the fact that we needed to be more agile and more nimble and be able to react to the various market conditions, changing rules, strategies, work from home. All these things came into play, and you found that it was, I can't do it. I've got to go to my IT department. IT department says I'll queue it in there, or no, now I've got to go to the vendor. The vendor says, well, okay, we'll log it, we'll get it in there, and so it just this elongated process to where you needed to do something in 24 hours, and now you can't. And so the idea is new systems as they come to the market or have the underlying technology that allows the non-IT administrator, if you will, to go in and make these changes, in a very easy, quick fashion, without having that, IT skill set, if you will. And that's really what it boils down to.
Yep. No, I definitely agree. Yeah, the whole that first one about the work from home capabilities, pre-COVID, I feel like that would have been a more interesting discussion, but I know there's probably some horror stories. I haven't heard any. A lot of our clients, or I should just say all of our clients, because everybody was working remotely at some point. They've had some long days, but everybody did really great, from the 50-person agency we work with to the 2,000-person agency with collectors around the world. It was a pain, but they got it done, and pretty seamlessly. So it's good to hear as an industry that it wasn't a bunch of fumbling and failing and having to close doors because they couldn't get it figured out and they weren't set up correctly.
Yeah. I would say, though, that on that front, two things. One is there's a security and compliance angle that kind of got glossed over during this. The regulators kind of looked away a little bit. That you're going to have to come back and shore that up if they haven't.
Good
and
point.
Number two is it's going to get a little more complicated going forward, because this whole work from home, work from office thing is going to become a hybrid. I'm going to go into the office 3 days or 2 days and work from home, and it's going to change. And so you've got to have a system that says, okay, you're working from home, you're working, or it doesn't matter where you work from, right? Because the logons and everything are going to be very easy, and you're not going to have to lug heavy equipment back and forth like some of them actually did. So that'll be an interesting aspect of this that we want to watch going forward.
Right. No, yeah, makes sense. Makes sense to me. All right. So before we started recording, Rob's a bourbon connoisseur. So what are you drinking? Well, not right now, but the hypothetical right now. What's your bottles of choice?
I'm a Weller's guy. Everybody talks about the Holy Grail being Pappy's.
Yeah.
But I can't get any Pappy. And so I can't be envious of something I've never had. I just know that whenever I do have that and I have people on it and I'm zooming, they'll look at this and they'll say, "Is that a propeller on your head?"
That's funny. I didn't even think of that. I just knew it was a fan, but
Is this I'm a propeller head?
right. Yeah, my neighbor has a bottle of Pappy. Got it in the secondary market. Weller's pretty easy to find here in Ohio because we did some nice things to Kentucky back in the day, and we get a lot of shipments of it, both the antique and the reserve. So it's pretty easy to come by. So once we start traveling again, and assuming we'll be at an event at some point together, I'll have to try to remember to get a bottle or so.
I'll hold you to it.
So any last parting words, your email and website, all that I'll put in the YouTube notes here, but anything?
Other than just to say, look, we've talked about some different things that are interesting stats and all. It's not all gloom and doom. I mean, the industry as a whole is very, very good at adapting and trying to figure things out. I just think that in today's climate, we just have to move so much faster, and with technology the way it is, some people just their systems aren't going to allow them to get there, and others will. So it's not all gloom and doom, and you better do this and look at those stats. It's not quite like that, but yeah, it is like anything else. Don't wait to the last minute, to make these changes.
Yep. No, I think the numbers are nice. It puts it all into perspective. So we'll go Thursday. This should be out Thursday, Inside Arm, to catch that front or the front headline with these survey results. And then you can visit the website and get the white paper as soon as today. And thank you, Sarah. It's good talking with you. Good catching up.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Matt.
All right. Have a good one.